For years, I wasted time. My energy wasn't in the right place. I'd spend more time online, mindlessly scrolling, than working on my dreams. Whether it was while waiting at the doctor's office or before going to bed, I would constantly be on my phone, always connected, but never really present. And why? Frankly, I don't know. It's a disease. Our current society has been infected. The average person spends over 4 hours a day on their phone. That's more than 60 full days a year staring at a screen. 2 full months. Time that could have been otherwise spent making memories or building something you're proud of. Instead, you're trapped in a loop that keeps you coming back for more. No wonder the cravings feel as intense as a drug addiction. A study from Harvard showed that phone use triggers the same part of the brain as gambling or substance abuse. Essentially, the more you use your phone, the more your brain becomes wired to seek out this cheap dopamine. So it's not just a habit, it's a physiological dependency. This was my reality for years. The last thing I do at night, check my phone. The first thing I do in the morning, check my phone. Everything I did, from the gym to the park, my dear companion was always there. But the problem arises from the fact that we don't realize what this constant habit loop we formed does to our brain. Without realizing it, our actions are training our brains to prioritize external stimulation over genuine self-focus. When you start your day by checking your phone, it's like letting 100 people into your mind the moment you open your eyes. You wouldn't let that happen in real life, so why allow it through your phone? Each morning, we're bombarded by external demands, instantly taking us out of our own thoughts and intentions. Over time, this trains our brains to put everyone and everything else first. And it's not even just a distraction. It's a deep conditioning of our minds. The constant notifications, the likes, the messages, all these create dopamine surges, reinforcing a loop that makes it difficult to break away. When we rely on these patterns of frequent hits, it becomes hard to enjoy life's simple pleasures.
But Julian, I've tried so many things. I've really tried. Nothing works.
Well, that's because your common fixes, like turning off all notifications or going on a digital detox, or even using app lockers, those don't work. Once your rehab period ends, you go straight back to doom scrolling. So all those methods, all they do is just solve surface level issues. And as a result, you don't address the root cause, your brain's dependency on dopamine. I remember these days so well. I'd constantly experience feelings of restlessness with an inability to focus. And at times, I'd even convince myself I had some sort of ADHD. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. My brain's system simply had been hijacked. For years upon years, I was performing the same actions on autopilot. After all, that's what a habit is. And your brain can't differentiate between good and bad habits. So at the end, you just continually perform the same actions on repeat without much brain power or effort. You've wired your brain to seek out these quick and cheap dopamine hits, making it nearly impossible to just do anything without the phone. But here's the good news. There is a way out. There are a few things that you can do starting today to cure this addiction. Firstly, you need to acknowledge that you are indeed suffering from this. There is no point to hide or ignore it. The more you do that, the more damage you're doing to yourself. And ultimately, the harder it will be to step away and break this unproductive habit loop. So remember, acknowledgement is the first and hardest hurdle. However, once you do overcome that and recognize it, it all comes down to this one simple concept. The brain can rewire itself with intentional effort and mindfulness. With commitment, you reclaim control. Therefore, consider planning your days and starting them with either gratitude, some journaling, maybe a meditation, a long walk, or even just 10 minutes of reading. This will send the message that you, and not the endless feed of updates, are your first priority. Then, this is the important part. Do not go cold turkey. At first, I tried to cut my screen time from 6 hours to 1 hour overnight, and I failed. But then, I reduced it by 10% each week. That small, consistent step made all the difference. The main takeaway? It's not an all or nothing game. Find balance, then stick to it. Lastly, introduce a scheduled phone use time. Use your phone only during specified hours for learning, productivity, or social connection. Make your brain see it as a tool, not a crutch. The common theme here, my friends? Reframing the way we use our phones. Changing your lens. In my life, being intentional has given me back 2 to 4 hours a day. Time that I would have otherwise spent scrolling unproductively. And instead of letting 100 people into my brain first thing in the morning, I now choose to set the tone for my day. I intentionally pause. I choose to break that habit loop I've spent so many years unintentionally creating. I choose to rewire my brain and send it the signal that I am indeed the priority. Not my comments, not the people sending me messages, and most certainly not the endless scroll. In the last 5 months, I've used these strategies, and it's completely changed my life. Not only have I slowed down, but I've gained clarity and achieved lifelong dreams, like speaking at global tech events, giving seminars to top executives, and finding fulfillment in both my personal and professional life. And that's all because I was intentional about conquering my phone addiction, all before it conquered me first. So the next time you reach for your phone, ask yourself, is this serving me or am I serving it?